Hey, it looks like we are live. Better late than never, right? That's what they say. Ooh, 6:23. I appreciate your patience. So sorry, so sorry. I was thrown off because it looked like it was showing my stream key up at the top of the screen. So again, I apologize. Let me go take a quick look at things in OBS. Okay, looks good over here. And it looks good over here. So let me finish sipping my coffee there. Put on the live chat if anybody's got anything to say, if anybody comes in or whatever. I am so rusty with using this thing. A lot of you are going to be like, hey, Borg, where you been? I don't even remember how to make this full screen for myself. So, but we're going to trust to the technology. I'm working over here in OBS now. Hopefully you can see and hear me just fine. All right. My name is Joseph Hedrick, and I haven't said that in so long that it actually feels kind of weird because for about the past 12 years, I've been known as Joseph of Borg. Now you're wondering who is this dude and what's with the weird name, nickname, whatever. Well, in short, in 2013, I had a computer attached to my spinal cord. Excuse me for being fidgety. I'm going to start that over. I had a computer implanted in my left flank, kind of between my hip and my spine, that is attached to my spinal cord that allows me to walk. That's a lot to take in the first time you hear it. I know it was for me the first time they told me that's what they planned to do to me, but just so you don't wonder what I'm smoking and where you can get some, this is my old battery, which was replaced after 9 years. Okay, well, it happens to be a Medtronic, not that I think the brand matters, okay? There's the little spots where the wires, come on, focus camera, please. Anyway, just so you think I'm not nuts, okay? There's even a dent right there. Don't know if the lighting will catch it or what. Where, there. Either that's where they use the forceps to take it out when they put in my new one after about 9 years, or that's where I hit it on the doorknob once and it made me do such a dance that I could have won a contest. So anyway, if you're new here, that's how I got the name, and I'm going to let you digest that for a second, if you'll permit me, and I'm going to greet the rest of my longtime friends. The rest, I think of them as family, being an adult orphan, although I don't care for that term much. I do, it fits, so I learned about that the whole blood is thicker than water is a lie, and that's a whole nother show if you want to hear about that. But or if you're like, what? So anyway, what am I doing here? Hey Borg, what's up? I know all that. What are you doing here? What's going on? Well, this is going to be something new and completely different. And if you know me from the chronic pain community, then this is not that. Okay? This is not that at all. Um, so the cue is going to be when the thumbnails have an all black background, that is your cue to not, uh, that this ain't that. Okay, this is something new I'm doing from now on. I'm getting out of the chronic pain groove because I've been in the groove and it's turning into a rut. So to prevent that, look, I'm going to ask all your indulgence. Now that I've greeted everybody as best I can, I'm going to pray for a second. And I'm no preacher, it won't even take a minute. So if you're inclined, please join me. And if not, please tolerate it. And I hope that wasn't really loud and disgusting. Uh, Let me ditch this music because it's just not. Okay, I made the music. I'm going to get rid of it now. When I thought I was going to be the Phil Donahue of pain, right? It was funny. Britney Spears, Call Me Maybe, Chronic Painting, Call In Show, right? Ha ha ha. I'm just going to get rid of it now because it just doesn't fit. There. So, good Lord. Here I am, screwing up live on air because hey, life is messy. I knew this was going to be messy, but quite honestly, telling you guys first, because he already knows if I don't do this live, I'm never going to do it. Okay? So, Father, everybody who knows me, especially those who know me in my personal life, know I've had a hard time being two people, both Joseph Hedrick and Joseph of Borg, for a long time. And though that those that know me closest all the way around, digitally and otherwise, uh, realize that I've been battling a spirit of fear for a while because I've wanted to break out of my chronic pain groove before it becomes a rut that I can't get out of. So put words in my mouth and give me the courage to speak them and do what I have to do today because I know you don't want me to continue to feel torn or live in this spirit of fear uh, for just being who I am. Amen. So, told you, that ain't much of a prayer. The Big Cross people, the Big Cross camp, as I call them, yeah, they don't care much for the fact that I pray the way I do. But again, that's neither here nor there for today because I'm going to put off doing this if I just don't do it. Okay, so I've got to try and stay on focus as best I can. So, Borg, what are you afraid of, right? What's going on? Especially those of you who have known me a long time, you realize where is center? Center? Okay, that's kind of weird. I always get it when I try and point stuff, I always get it backwards. Uh, and for those who don't know, 12 years ago or so, I started making videos because there I had pain that was at suicidal levels, and I'm not being metaphoric. It's bad when somebody starts wondering how does one check out and traumatize their spouse the least. Uh, yeah, so that's where I was before I got my stimulator. So I made a deal with God. If you don't believe in God, that's fine. I made a deal with my God that if it worked for me, I wasn't going to be one of the success stories that just left, okay, and disappeared. So I ended up being the poster boy for spinal cord stimulators. I broke into happy tears right on the table the very first time they turned it on, and the nurse thought something was tragically wrong. And I told her, no, it's the first time I haven't felt the sensation of rats gnawing on my lower spine in several years, which she seemed kind of shocked. So fast forward and come home, and I had to make good on my promise. And I also, during the time I was waiting for that implant to quite literally save my life, thank God, uh, Surprise, surprise, as a casino dealer of 20 years or so at the time, both in table games and in poker, I woke up one morning and felt like I had oven mitts on my hands and I couldn't feel anything, let alone the cards. Well, since I already had some pretty trusted spinal surgeons, we just went to see them. They did a CT myelogram. This would have been in 2013, I do believe. Anyway, my spine in my cervical area is a mess. Can't be fixed, only going to get worse. My days dealing were over at the age of 44. My career ended in a doctor's office unexpectedly in the company of my wife. And yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. So, in the effort to reinvent myself, as I've done many times, I seem to do it about every 10 or 12 years, uh, I started making content. In those days when you made content, it wasn't as easy as it is now, which is funny since I had considerable problems just getting the show started. Okay. But you had to learn how to stream. The technology wasn't as interfaceable, as easy to use, user friendly. So, anyway, back then there were a lot of people, and I don't want to name any specifics, okay, but think about what was going on then and think about a lot of the famous YouTubers. I was learning when they were learning, but I always stuck in my chronic pain groove because it was safe. Because I saw very quickly people who had too much to say about politics, social commentary, or anything else could get real hatred. And in the last years, that has only gotten worse. I don't need to tell you, I don't have to name any names of any particular streamers. Pick one from whatever faiths, creed, whatever you follow. And if they're outspoken and they are out there just talking, and there's people who hate them and they want to do them harm. I mean, that's the world we live in. I've watched people I knew 12 years ago digitally get swatted. It's been nuts for me. So I was scared, and my wife and other friends have talked to me about it because, look, I've been happy to cower in fear in my rut, or I should say in my groove, but I know it's becoming a rut. I've known for at least a year or two, and it's eventually the rut gets too deep. You can't break out of it. Um, and a rut is really just a grave then with the ends kicked out. So I don't want that. I can't do that. I've got a tradition of reinventing myself once I get as good as I'm going to get at something. So, uh, yeah, so I'm going to move on to what's going on today. Today, I am going to break out of the chronic pain arena, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that as I do literally do it. So, it wouldn't be live if there wasn't some jive. My friend, I've watched a lot of people that I used to watch. I'll get to that later, but yeah, okay. That should be bringing up a monitor right in front of my face. It's going to show you my USB interface and my assets. Okay. So I already turned off the music. Okay. Look, at one time, I grew up watching Phil Donahue, and I had this delusion I was going to be the Phil Donahue of pain. Okay. Or something to that effect. But here's the problems that ran up with that. Just staying in the chronic pain community all the time uh, isn't healthy. Okay. Also, you get the same few questions all the time. Okay. So it's not really as helpful or whatever. But I'm also mindful that after I got back home and healed, and especially during the time I was learning to walk again after being housebound slash bedridden for about 7 months or so, it took me about 6 months of physical therapy to really get things back where they felt where I wanted them to be. And I could stand on the casino floor 40 hours. I just couldn't deal. Anyway, I'm rushing off the subject here. it's time for me to change things, and it's time for a change. So I no longer have the manual dexterity due to my problems. And again, I apologize if that's really loud. Uh, to recreate these, once they are gone, they're gone. In fact, I'm going to move this over here so you can see me while I do this. Okay. See this dude right here? Man, when I grew up as a kid, I loved him. I always wanted to do some kind of animations or something until I saw Las Vegas at the age of 11, and then I knew I wanted to be a dealer, and that's a whole nother story for another time. If I keep getting off track, I'll never get it done. So, yeah, it's not just a cube. It's actually, I had to make it in 3D space way back in the day when that was difficult to do. I had to give it its spin and rotation, and then I've got it on a green ski green screen technique, but I'm using a magenta screen instead of a green screen, so it appears to float in space like that, and click to subscribe. And I thought I made 5 channels because I knew I couldn't be in chronic pain mode all the time. It wasn't healthy for my mind or my body. So, and I, due to the depreciating use of my hands and ability to do stuff with a mouse and keyboard, it became tougher and tougher to do, and I just it never took off. It couldn't work. So it's going to have to all meld into one place. So anyway, enough babbling about the cube that I spent a lot of time. Oh, and then see, he was with the Britney Spears Call Me Maybe. You see, I got the chronic pain. Hey, I got it right that time. Call in show. I used to do it live back when I lived in Vegas. But yeah, anyway, enough about the water, floating watermark. You see, I'm not just going to hide him, right? Right here, you guys get to witness me burning my ships like Cortez, right? Goodbye, Cube. I don't need you anymore. All right, the board camera's got to stay, obviously, or you can't see me. And my monitor still is looking good. Okay, so before, I'm going to move this over here again, just for a second. Before I did the chronic pain call-in show, I did all kinds of shit. You can go look at it if you want to see it, okay? You can watch the 12-year evolution of the Borg with his streaming career. It wasn't all that, okay? So, but when I first started doing chronic pain stuff and getting down into the stimulator stuff, and my group started growing until I now have like 12,000 members in that group, not to mention the interactions I have in other people's groups. Uh, it just, I wanted to have a close personal cup of coffee with a friend feel. And that's what I was looking for because that's what I'm doing. And that's where, right? The kitchen and across a diner table, that's where the best conversations are had, right? But yeah, I don't need to pretend that anymore. So yeah, the diner. All right. Oh, I'm afraid I didn't let you see it click off. All right. Well, this one, no, I'll bring it back. Don't forget, Joe. Don't forget. Let them see this one. This one's important. I'm gonna make myself tiny. I have to use all hotkeys to do stuff these days. So I hope this works out. Yep, because you don't need to see me big for this one. This is one of my, as soon as I was able to use an artificial background, I used this, and it's not a stock photo. Anybody who's been there knows this is Dunn's River Falls in Ocho Rios, okay? Now, this isn't just a stock photo. You can see, hopefully, over here in the corner, over in that corner, that's our close. We went and it was really slow, as you can see, midweek. Got a really nice shot of the falls uninterrupted that I cropped down. But the reason I use this, other than the fact it's just a nice picture of a nice place, is Jamaica has a special place in my heart, and this time in Jamaica has a special place in my family's memory. This is going to sound really strange, but when I was on my honeymoon in 1995 in Jamaica, I had also a religious awakening. I'd been looking forward to going to Jamaica and talking to the Rastas for years. That's a whole nother thing. Uh, Years later, I want to say it was '09 or '07. I'm not good with dates. Uh, we got to take our adult children on a trip to Jamaica for a week. And I got to take, I mean, I didn't make it a pilgrimage for them, but it was cool for me to go back. And I made a point, the big thing I wanted to do was show them a whole different way of life. Because they had grown up in the Minneapolis suburbs, and had never really seen. So I took them up to 9 Mile up by Bob Marley's house. We touched his tomb. We sat on what they call reggae rock. Uh, so that was amazing on that trip for me to get to bring my adult children to the place where I had my conversion, if you will, or had a lot of my beliefs colored in, if you will. So anyway, enough on that. Again, if I get too storied, right? So, but yeah, we had a great time when I was really struggling early on to make videos and stuff. I could look up at my background and it was a psychological trick. I could think back to that time and place that was one of the greatest times of my life, on one of the greatest trips of my life. This is it really grounded me and helped me stay focused, because getting a computer attached to your spinal cord, uh, the surgery is just the beginning. Then comes the programming, and it's not like any other surgery. So anyway, I got to shift, excuse me. Yeah, so this picture meant a lot for me, and it got me started, and I had it way back when. And the simple fact of the matter is, uh, a crane can become a crutch, can become crippled, and I know that's not a PC word to say these days, but the simple fact of the matter is that as much as I used this waterfall then, I don't need it anymore. And I screwed that up bad, because this right here, see, it wouldn't be live, it didn't have some calamities, was supposed to be really dramatic. See, the sled was going to go up in half, the waterfall going to disappear. So, okay, I screwed up, but you get the idea. No green screen, right? In fact, since I'm on it and I screwed it up, I might as well go ahead and we're going to nuke the waterfall. Obviously, I have a photo, the full-size photo of this someplace else. I'm not destroying a lifelong memory, okay? All right, goodbye, waterfall. Now, you just didn't see me do that either, right? But now we'll bring this over here, because I'm a moron. See, it never goes according to plan, but you see this? Oh, music. God knows I can get rid of that music once and for all. It was funny when I did it. Okay. Oh wow, did I just deleted my board cam. Good thing I can do this quick on the fly, I think. I sure as hell hope so. If not, this is going to be audio. Wow, I can't believe I did that. Okay, calm down. Video capture device. Okay. Glove save and a beauty. All right. So, green screen's up. Music. See? That's the kind of stuff. I almost got in trouble with the big crowd camp. Goodbye, music. There we go. All right. So, as you can see, it's just me, right? Nothing else to show you. In fact, while I'm here, since this is not the way I scripted it at all, we will stretch the screen. No, I do not need to be any wider by any damn means. Transform, fit to screen. Much better. Okay. And you're not going to have to see me get rid of anything else. All right, so here it is. The digital full Monty. Okay? Look. Green screen's up, out of the way. I'm using a pillow on my chair. Dude who lives in a double wide on 2 city lots in a town of 700. Wall. The Christmas decorations that I haven't had a chance to move out to the garage yet, where I'm been commissioned to build some shelves when it gets warm enough. Because my wife got these lovely cases for all her Christmas ornaments. So as soon as it gets warm enough, that'll be my thing. So here it is. This is me. We're going to talk about things we haven't talked about before. We're going to talk about how 6 years ago, when the opiate pain issue started, what I think of as the opiate witch hunt, and people were literally dying because they were committing euthanasia because they couldn't get medication they'd had for decades. In some cases, and they were taking their own lives, and I found myself grieving them, even though I'd never met them in real life, and that's when I first knew I could make this into a new thing, something different, but I wasn't sure what. So, look, this is just too much, just me on the screen. You gotta allow me some modesty, right? So let me move myself over here, and I did make one thing. That's it. This is the new thing. That was the old thing. Okay? Now everybody's out there going, okay, what does this guy want? I know. I know you want to know what I want. I want to communicate with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk with you. This is something I learned when I was grieving far too many people from the opiate witch hunt. Kept my mouth shut. I see things going on that I witnessed with my own two eyes that people are lying about. Hell, we see it now. Everybody sees the same videos and comes away with two things. We've all seen a situation on some reality show or in real life where we've watched it happen. You'll be in a conversation, you'll walk into the next room and listen to somebody recount the conversation, and it doesn't match your conversation, okay? So I want to communicate with you. Um, And I don't want to disappoint you, so I'm going to tell you right now, I know how it goes. I got people like, I- I'm not going to, I don't want to out him or nothing negatively, but a dude named Van who did music reactions when I was healing a couple years ago from getting, a few years back now, uh, from getting my battery replaced. Uh, I ended up watching a lot of response videos, and I came across people who, I love rap. I was in, I got bused from Medina to South High, and I graduated from South High in 1986. So I had already experienced some of that music, and that was a hell of a shock. But it really was a pivotal point in my life in many, many ways. Also, the fact that I spent most of the month of June in 1985 in Co-op City in the South Bronx of New York. So if you know, you know, I guess. And we can definitely talk about that adventure. That's when they first labeled me the albino hood rat. So, uh, yeah, so look, I did what I came to do. I'm going to wind this up. Y'all want to know, look, what's the hook? What's he want? When am I going to ask you for money? It's not going to happen. Okay. I got 12,000 people in a group that'll tell you I've never asked them for a dime. Okay, I've never profited from a dime from it. I just don't monetize. Not because I'm a capitalist at heart. I believe in capitalism. That's not why. I know this is almost un-American to say, but I got enough money. I'm not bragging. I'm not wealthy. I'm not even rich. If you don't know the difference, ask. But if you know me from the chronic pain community, I've been around and I'm well enough known. I've actually been asked to talk about, excuse me, that would be really a poorly constructed sentence. I have been asked if I was interested in speaking, we'll say for fees or compensation, and I never have. If you're one of my longtime followers, throw a uh, I'm gonna switch from OBS over to YouTube, see if anybody's even watching, because now I'm self-conscious. See, that spirit of fear is trying to creep up on me. Yeah, here I am. We got any chat going on? Nobody in the chat, nobody watching. That's all right. I'm used to that. Anyway, now I can just chill and tell you, here's what's going on. I want to communicate with you. I want to share stories. Next time, I'm going to share one of my pivot points from my life. Mistakes I've made, times I've changed, things I've done. I've avoided the opiate war for as long as I can, or the opiate. Now it feels like the chronic pain genocide, to be honest. As long as I can, because I'm not going to say hate. I, I can't think of a profession I hold in lower esteem than politicians as a whole. There. Okay, there's a few I have some respect for because of consistency, but other than that, yeah, it's okay. I won't even get there right now. But look, I know how it is. You find a new YouTuber, somebody who's doing something new, and 6 months later they're the ShamWow guy, right? No, I'm not that guy. So yeah, do me a favor. If you've known me for a while on the internet or in real life, and you can back up what I'm saying, that, we just putter along on our nice little retirement, 50 grand a year. We're happy. We're content. Okay, I know that's not popular these days, but we've made a life we don't need a vacation from. Is it the life for you? Probably not. Maybe. I don't know. Do you even? I have people tell me, okay, I'll give a free plug to No, I won't. I want to get in trouble. I've posted that, in some videos where they talk about how they need 150,000 a year and they're broke. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. Two of us live on 50,000, and they're like, okay, no way. I don't want to get in your pockets. I'm not trying to be rude, but are you eating dog food? How do you do it? If you want to know, I got no shame in my game. I'll break down my finances if anybody cares. Anyway, enough of that. Let me get around to this. I do have an offer for you, and it's not going to cost you a dime. What you will have to do is it's going to cost you your time, which have learned is your most precious commodity, and you will have to pay attention. That's all you're going to have to give. Time and attention. I'm never going to beg for likes. I'm not going to turn into that guy. I never have. Look, the metrics will tell me if anybody watches, okay? Maybe you find me really boring and you use my videos to cure your insomnia. Great, you got some benefit from it. I don't care. I've gotten more than enough accolades in my group for helping people, and I'm well aware that none of that would have been possible without the hardships I've had in the health arena. So, I don't need anything in that capacity, you know. So, yeah, time and attention. That's what it's going to cost you to come back and see what I want to offer you. Okay? So I guess really at the end of the day, the only question that really remains is, are you willing to pay that price to satisfy your curiosity? I guess time will tell.